opportunity here, and we've got our first goal of the match.
Leaves it to Ramsey to make it 3-0.
Nandito na tayo sa exciting part. It's the 2022 Copa Paulino Alcantara semifinals. First game for today is Kaya FC-Iloilo against Stallion Laguna FC, the battle of the pillars of Philippine club football. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Jamer De La Cruz, and joining me today, Darren Artman. Darren, how are you, and how excited are you for today's matches?
Well, I'm doing great, and I'm very, very excited about today. As you said, this is what football is all about, and it's come down now to two games. It's a double header today, starting with this game between Kaya and Stallions, and of course Kaya, who come top of the league, have got a very tough challenge ahead of them with Stallions, who have been developing momentum. I mean, looking at the points, you may think, oh, Stallions have struggled to get through. Yeah, you can say it wasn't an easy route to get through, but an extra goal in any of the games would have got them comfortably into that top four. And of course, teams both have got momentum. We know that Kaya can now score goals, and we know that Stallions are resilient. This is really what Cup magic is all about.
Stallion Laguna getting through the semifinals by the skin of their teeth after a draw with United City FC on the final day of the elimination rounds, making them one of the participants of the Copa Paulino Alcantara semifinals. All the stats of the elimination rounds are actually gone. It's just a clean slate for both teams, and it's all important 90 minutes, or even including the extra time with 30 minutes, possibly the dreaded penalty shootout. We can never tell, but it's gonna be an exciting game that we have today. Again, Kaya FC Iloilo and Stallion Laguna FC are already familiar with each other. They've seen each other over the past 10 or 15 years in the local leagues. What do you think will be the edge for either Kaya and Stallion in this game?
Well, Stallions have actually only lost one game in this campaign, and that was against Kaya. And although Kaya took a strong hold on the game, going 3-0 up, Stallions really made a game of it, coming back and almost edging and almost pushing for a draw, in which would have been a fantastic comeback for them. So, I mean, in terms of history, I don't think that there is going to be any love lost between these two teams. Stallions, of course, in the founding years of Philippine football, were very, very dominant. They did have their trophies, but it's been long awaiting for them to lift a trophy again. And of course, Kaya have become accustomed to lifting trophies, and Stallions will definitely want to do something about that today.
It's been a decade since Stallion Laguna has won a trophy back in the defunct UFL Cup, but they have a chance now to get the title against none other than the defending champions. But before that, we take a look at the past meeting between Stallion Laguna FC and Kaya FC Iloilo. In the first half of this game, Kaya FC showed their dominance, scoring 3 goals in that game. Jan Meliza, one of the former players of Stallion Laguna, making an impact against his former club. But the second half, Stallion Laguna mounted close to a comeback. It was 2 goals, but the game ended frantically in favor of Kaya FC Iloilo.
And I think the importance of that game for Stallions really was the fact that they had been chopping and changing formations throughout this campaign, but they kind of fell into a really nice shape against Kaya, and from there they've been able to develop momentum in training. They've been able to put together a more strategic plan in terms of how they execute their substitutions, and are going into this game a lot more prepared than they were when they played Kaya in the first round.
Well, talking about the lineups of Kaya FC Iloilo first, the defending champions of the Copa Paulino Alcantara, Zach Banzon starts on goal again. You can see Jessica Ren back on the starting lineup. He'll be sliding into right back. Joining Simone Rota in the middle will be Audi Menzi, and the Cup's top scorer, Daiso Orikoshi, is back up front.
Yeah, I think it's the strongest lineup available to Kaya. A couple of players who are coming back from injury, but they're already into their second or third game, coming off some minor strains. But for me, the biggest miss really is going to be Carlisle Mitchell, who's not in the lineup, so some tactical adjustments will be made there. However, when I look at the bench of Kaya, they do have a lot of firepower and a lot of ability to change shape and formation depending on how the game plays out.
Well, on the other side, Stallion Laguna FC forming a very formidable lineup out here. If Carlisle Mitchell is not at the back for Kaya FC Iloilo, Gabriel Silva is in the lineups for Stallion Laguna FC, as well as Leonardo Noguera, who had a fantastic game against United City FC.
Well, Noguera was outstanding, really was pulling the strings in the middle of the park. For me, the biggest surprise there is the fact that they're starting Troy Limbo. I feel that what he's brought to the game as an impact player, bringing some pace off the bench, but it's kind of understandable when you look at the bench of Stallions and they see that they have players returning from suspensions and from injuries who can do that for them.
Well, talking about returning players out here, Darren, Oscari Kekunen and Jovin Bedic, after their SEA Games campaign, they're back on the bench for Kaya FC Iloilo. Of course, Jovin had a career of his life in SEA Games, scoring 3 goals out there in the tournament. On the other side, Stallion Laguna FC, they still have a lot of firepower out there with Marvin Angeles, Joe Arimbedia, and even Yannick Tuazon in the bench.
Yeah, and of course, for the extra pace, they have Ganoa Bailey as well. So, I mean, like for like off the bench, this is really what top 4 football is all about. It's not a team which is going to get weaker when they make substitutions. Those substitutions are all there for tactical reasons, and it's going to be a game from the very first whistle, I think, for the full 90 minutes. It's going to be extremely competitive.
Well, we've had a first glance of the personnel out here in the first game of the semifinals, but when we come back, it's Kaya FC Iloilo going up against Stallion Laguna FC with the semifinals of the 2022 Copa Paulino Alcantara.
There's an opportunity here, and we've got our first goal of the match.
Players are on the pitch. Gloomy weather here at the PFF National Training Center. Rain is pouring down, but in a few minutes, the intensity, the heat of the action will be in full display here at the PFF National Training Center between Kaya FC-Iloilo and Stallion Laguna FC. First, our match officials for today, Mick John Pineda, assisted by Chris Mark Nanyola, Relly Balila, and our fourth official is Clifford Dai Puyat. Darren, this is a very crucial match for Kaya FC-Iloilo, who's looking for their third title for the Copa Paulino Alcantara. Meanwhile, Stallion Laguna FC chasing that elusive title, a decade long of wait. Can they end that today?
Well, it's all going to come down to how the players start this game. We just have to look to see what sort of mindset the players are taking in. Are there any players that are going to get affected by nerves today? Are there players who are going to step up and rise up to the occasion? But this is really what football is all about. It's going to come down to 90 minutes. There has to be a winner. And of course, when you take that into consideration, it really is a cup game.
We've seen Daiso Orikoshi earlier stretching our player to watch for Kaya FC-Iloilo, and why shouldn't we watch that guy? Top scorer of the tournament with 5 goals in his name. One of the providers of assists as well for Kaya FC-Iloilo with 4 assists in his name. On the other side, Stallion Laguna FC's player to watch is Leonardo Noguera, who, like what we said in the pregame, had a fantastic game against United City FC. Do you think this is the game that he's going to break out today?
Well, I think it's one of those situations where if he has a good game, then Stallion's going to play well. And if he doesn't start the game well, he either has to work himself into the game, or other players are going to have to step up around him and bring him into the game. Whatever happens is, whichever team has the best performance cohesively, they're going to be the teams walking into the finals. This is not the sort of occasion where one player can just carry a team. Sometimes you can ride your luck, but I think you don't want to risk it when it comes to this sort of level and this sort of stage in the competition.
Well, I'm very excited for this game, Darren. Maagang dumilim dito sa PFF National Training Center, hence the reason why we needed to bring the floodlights in earlier than expected. But 45 minutes in the first half, 45 minutes in the second half. If that is not enough, we have 30 minutes divided into 2 for extra time, or we go to the dreaded penalty shootout. No draws out here. There will only be one winner, and we have kickoff between Kaya FC-Iloilo and Stallion Laguna FC, the defending champions wearing black, playing from right to left. On the other side, Stallion wearing their traditional pink jerseys, playing from left to right on the attack right away. Noguera ushering that out for a throw-in for Kaya FC-Iloilo. Menzi with a throw-in, went over the head of Robert Lopez Mendy, cleared away by Stallion. Early pressure on. First few minutes of this game will be very frantic, as we have talked about, Darren, in our semifinals preview. But who do you think have the edge in terms of this battle of franticness in the first 15 minutes?
Well, it looks as if Kaya's adjustment is playing with that flat back 4. I mean, having Jesse Curran to your disposal anywhere on the pitch is really something that you're going to take as an advantage. And of course, Stallions with less changes, I would say, in terms of the way that they're going to play. And, well, we're certainly not missing out on any intensity. Straight away, both teams are looking at press. And I think at this sort of level of the competition, at this sort of phase that we're in, I think teams will settle within the first 10 minutes and try to play the game that they want to play.
Well, the last time these two have met, I mean, right now, Darren, not only the intensity of the semifinals is here, you could still feel that there's an unfinished business in that 3-2 game between Kaya FC-Iloilo and Stallion, which ended or resulted into getting 2 red cards for Cameron Bolden and Carlisle Mitchell towards the end of that game. So I think they're going to bring in that intensity in this game as well. Hopefully, we are in for a very exciting match today.
Yeah, well, as a neutral, I watched that game. I really enjoyed it. And the question I would ask is, what if the game had continued for another 15 minutes? You know, would Stallions have actually come out with a point? Would they have come out with all 3 points? And I feel that if we're talking about a continuation of that game, if Stallions have got the confidence to take the game to Kaya earlier, and of course not concede goals like they did in the manner that they did in the first game, then we're going to have a really close game on our hands. Kaya should be used to adjusting though, and should be able to take the tempo out of what Stallions is doing by what they're doing. A little bit low rotation, but then forcing it forwards. Interesting.
This might be the continuation that Stallion Laguna has been looking for. They were able to book their ticket to the semifinals, and what better way to kick off your semifinals against the defending champions and the one that actually had a tough battle with. So let's see how things will pan out over the next few minutes of this game, with Arthur controlling the ball from the back, just having to rotate that with Simon Erota. Arthur switches to play to Janjan Melissa over the right side. A lot of fans tuning in. Thank you so much for watching the game from the comforts of your home. John Norbertson Agapito, Jean Rose Abulok Amita, James Twason. Also, a shout out to Raymond Braganza, who's actually watching this game. Attack over the right side for Kaya with Jesse Curran. Weighing down their options. Fuji looks for the cross, but hits one of the players in pink.
And Miguel de Mesa doing really well there, just to slow down Jesse. Jesse, for me, has had a free roam on the right-hand side every time he's played. His conversion rate in terms of creating end products is outstandingly high. Class player. And, of course, the young Miguel de Mesa will really be tested today.
Stallion Laguna FC might have found the fountain of youth for them. We're able to sign key players right now, starters, but at the age of roughly around 18 or 19 years old, Darren.
Yeah, there's a couple of youngsters out there, both the right back and left back, born 2001 and born 2002. And I mean, when you look at the lineups and the team sheets like we get to see, there are 4 or 5 youngsters in their squad. To mention Justin Pena, who's returned from his international duty in the SEA Games. He's actually on the bench today for Stallions. So when we're talking about youth and energy, they most certainly have got the pick really of players. And I feel that Kaya don't have that today. Sandro Reyes is not lined up. I'm sure we will try to find out the reason why he's not lined up. But again, coming off the SEA Games as well, they also have Oskari Kekkonen on the bench. So we could see a very young second half with players who have just been playing as teammates in the SEA Games. So makes it for an interesting competition.
Here we go for the counter attack, by the way, for Kaya. Thwarted right away by Silva. Talking about fountain of youth, one player who's actually watching us today never seemed to grow older. OJ Porteria watching this game and actually supporting Kaya FC-Iloilo. Horikoshi, poor touch out there, looking for Mendy. Both teams just testing each other out. Gayoso with a lovely through ball, looking for Horikoshi, but that goes out for a throw-in. The throw in. 2 players in black scrolling out there. That was Menzi, and I have to check that. And that was Fuji. Both of them going for the ball, but Fuji found himself impeded by his teammate. Restart here with Simon Erota. Long ball looking for Horikoshi. Horikoshi gets to the ball against Pickering. Sends it over inside. Lovely header. James tested right away and trusted palms out there.
Well, James there really just continuing from where he left off against United City. Had a fantastic game. I'm not just saying kept his side in it, but kept his side in the competition. And that's a really good positional play from the goalkeeper. It's not easy. It was a point-blank header almost, and I could feel the intensity from inside our commentator's tent as the ball went into the box.
Okay, also one of the aerial threats out there for Kaya FC-Iloilo blocked by James, who had a fantastic game as well against United City FC. And like what you said, just continuing on his form here, saving the blushes early on here for Stallion. Here's Audi Menzi. Looking for options. Opted to go to Simone Rota, who's going to spread that out wide for Mardiano. Throw in for Kaya FC again. Here's Robert Lopez Mendy, yet to make an impact in his return to Kaya FC. Although he has already scored a couple of goals for their side, it doesn't feel like he's back where he actually belonged when he started with Kaya FC.
Yeah, he's not been as prolific as what Kaya would have hoped in a number 9 as in having a target man. But I feel he has contributed. He's difficult to mark. He does put himself around the pitch, and I think where possibly some criticism is the conversion rate of the number of shots, the number of chances that he's had.
Yes, and looking for two forwards out there, Gayoso and Mendy. Melisa keeps it down for Mendy. Great through pass for Melisa. Saved again by James.
Yeah, and Jan Melisa has really been a player who's been in form the last few games. One of those players who's been producing high quality performances, even though he's not really been making the headlines. I really appreciate everything that he's been doing for Kaya in those areas. Of course, former Stallions player as well, so as are a couple of the other boys playing for Kaya today.
If not scoring, he's there to assist his teammates. On the other hand, Stallion with an attack here, thwarted by Audi Mendy. He's going to keep that in play. Great through pass to Horikoshi. Looking for Mendy out there. Great coverage by Gabriel Silva. It's getting nervy now here, Darren.
Yeah, I'm just trying to work out where the pivot is for Kaya, because Jesse is constantly pushing himself very high and very wide. I'm just trying to see how they're working their pivot with him being so high. But it looks as if their holding centre mid is really holding, so they can always form their back three. And it looks as if Jesse's got the whole roam of the whole right-hand side.
Silva, one of the key figures at the back for Stallion Laguna FC. His counterpart, Carlisle Mitchell, missing out this game due to suspension. So that's one hurdle that Kaya FC needs to go over. Meanwhile, there could be a chance out here. Commentators curse. Arthur lost that ball. Noguera to Silva, who clears it out for Abu C. Simone Rota alert. Mendy caught offside there. Great intention